What I'm about to share with you today is going to separate you from the 95% of sales reps who are out there struggling, wondering why they cannot break through their income ceiling. Now, I want you to think about this for a moment. Every single day, thousands of sales reps wake up, get on calls, and wonder why they're not making the money they want to make. They've invested in themselves, they've trained, they've got all the objection handling frameworks they could ever want, and yet they're still struggling. They're still broke. Do you know why? Because they don't have the right beliefs. Here's what most people don't understand about sales. Sales is not about what you say. Sales is all about who you are, and who you are is determined by what you believe. Now, I've been in this game long enough to realize that there are certain beliefs, core fundamental beliefs that separate the six-figure earners from the people who are struggling to pay their rent. And so today, I'm going to give you 10 of those beliefs. So these are not just feel-good mantras that you put on your bathroom mirror. These are belief systems that govern how top producers think, how they operate, and how they show up on every call. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. Your income is a direct reflection of your belief system. So if you believe small, you earn small. If you believe average, then you earn average. If you believe like a champion, well, that is when everything changes. So grab a pen, grab a notebook, because what I'm about to share with you has the power to transform not only your sales career, but your entire life. So let's dive in. The first belief that every sales rep should have is this: your pitch is just a formality. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Your pitch is just a formality. What do I mean? What I mean is too many sales reps focus on the pitch. They think that the pitch is going to do a lot of heavy lifting for them. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of offers out there where the offer is just so good. It's like a no-brainer offer. But the thing is, the sales reps on those offers are still not making the money they want to make. Why? Because they're not making sure that the prospect is in a position where they are a yes before you pitch. And so after the pitch, as great as the offer is, there might still be confusion. There might still be questions around if they can make it, if they could be successful with this mentorship, or if they could be successful with this done-for-you offer. Because at the end of the day, the prospect needs to believe internally, I can do this, I will be successful, this is for me, this is my calling, this is the direction I want to go with my business or with my life. Because the thing is, if your pitch has to be good, like if your offer, the pitch has to be so good that it sells itself, then as a sales rep, you are not necessary. They can just put the pitch on a website for people to read, or even have an AI person speak it. You don't need a skill set. The whole reason why sales is a skill set is because you need to have a conversation that goes deep, that really moves people forward, that helps them have clarity, so they are a hell yes before you even pitch. And this is what I help my students do. So this is a belief that every sales rep needs to have, that the pitch is just a formality, so that way the prospect knows, here are the tangible things I'm getting. It's not about the pitch. It's about getting that person to a yes. I'm going all in on myself. The second belief that every sales rep should have is that everyone is closable. Again, everyone is closable. It's just a matter of when they close. Some people will close today, some will close tomorrow, some will close in 6 months after they've saved up the funds. Some might need a bit more time to build some belief in themselves. Maybe they came to you at rock bottom, and 45 minutes is just not enough time to pull them out of rock bottom so they have enough belief in themselves. Sometimes that's the case. When you believe that everyone is closable, you won't do this crazy thing that I used to do. I used to burn the lead if they didn't buy on the first call. Because at that time, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I'm not afraid to be honest with you guys, at that time in my life, 2 years ago, I was operating from mostly ego. And so I felt like, well, if you're not gonna buy today, you're never gonna buy. And so I don't ever wanna speak to you again. My belief was that I'm not going to build this big pipeline of leads who didn't buy, because what do I look like hitting up a bunch of people and chasing them down for something they clearly wanted, right? I felt like I'm too good for that. And that's where the ego comes in, is like, well, I'm going to burn you. I'm going to make you feel like the biggest failure on the planet for not buying. I don't do that anymore because I truly believe that everyone is closable as long as they want the thing. Having that belief has allowed me to actually be more patient, be more compassionate, and take my time even on the call with someone. And ironically, has led to a lot more deals closing on the first call because I'm not going at it like, am I gonna burn them or not? It's just, how can I serve them today? The third belief that every sales rep should have, and this one I am so passionate about, is that sales is your Olympic sport. Sales is not a hobby, and yet so many sales reps put in just an hour a day of training or less, and they're so surprised. Oh my gosh, why am I not making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month? I put in an hour on Monday and on Wednesday and like 30 minutes on Thursday watching a video. Like, why am I not making six figures? It's so interesting because you wouldn't want a doctor operating on you who got a D. He wouldn't even be able to be a surgeon. Like, let's keep it real. But let's say we were letting D students become surgeons. You wouldn't want that person operating on you or your loved ones, right? We understand that lawyers need to do a lot of hours of schooling in order to represent you in court. And you wouldn't want the D student or the, yeah, I did this on the side lawyer to represent you in court, right? When your freedom is at stake. We understand that athletes have to train day in and day out for a lot of hours in order to get to that level where they're an Olympic medalist, right? And it blows my mind that we just wing it when it comes to sales. We think it's enough to buy a course or watch some videos on YouTube, follow some people on Instagram, and then we think that's enough to get to six figures. But these other six-figure careers, we understand it takes a lot of work. Now, I know that part of the issue is those sales coaches out there who tell you in their ads and their marketing that, yeah, it's super simple. Just pick up the phone. Leads are showing up with their card in their hand, ready to buy. Those people are doing a massive disservice to the industry and to the people that unfortunately do join their programs. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing you can do right now to stop that madness. And so what we can do is understand that it takes hustle to make it to six figures. We can re-educate ourselves. We can rewire our brain. It might not be your fault that you came into the industry with the wrong expectation, but it is 100% your responsibility to correct it moving forward. So that way you're not living day to day with the wrong expectations and wondering why you're not making money. So the amount of training that's required, I would say, is at least 2 to 3 hours a day, at least. And the way that this is broken down, you can do an hour and a half watching video trainings. Maybe you're in a coaching program or you have a one-on-one mentor. Watch some modules so you can really understand and get that education into you, right? That could be sitting down with a notebook and pen and taking notes. It could be also playing it in the background while you do the dishes, while you do your laundry, while you brush your teeth. And the other hour and a half or so would be actually role-playing with other people. So being on a live call, Q&A, or actually training with another sales rep. This is so important. And I'm not pulling this framework out of my butt, okay? This is how I trained to get really good. I did more than 3 to 4 hours even per day. It was every opportunity I could get. If I got a no-show, I was watching something or I was role-playing with someone. Every single morning before my day started, as far as taking sales calls, I had a role play. And every evening at the end of my day, I had at least one role play. So I was doing at least 2 hours a day role-playing with other closers. And outside of that, I was listening to either personal development podcasts or listening to sales training so that it would seep into my brain. It was just not an option for me to not become an expert because I was so obsessed. Okay, so when I say it's your Olympic sport, what I'm saying is you need to be obsessed in order to win. Otherwise, you won't. And this segues perfectly into the fourth belief that we should all have as sales reps, and it's this: I can role play with anyone. I had one of the craziest experiences recently where I connected with a sales rep who was a bit newer in this space. She was only in this space for 2 months. 2 months she's been selling, right? We all start somewhere. But what she said to me is the crazy thing. She said to me, yeah, I'm considering charging new sales reps to role play with me. I'm like, what? Charging them? Why? She goes, well, because they want to role play with me and I don't get anything out of it. I don't get any value out of it. And I was like, I'm so confused. Help me understand. I'm so confused. Like, what do you mean you don't get any value out of it? She's like, yeah, because they're newer. I don't get anything from it. They don't know how to be a good prospect because they haven't been on sales calls. And I'm like, okay, of course, I asked permission to give her my thoughts and feedback on that. And she said yes, thankfully. And I said, you realize your partner's only job when you're role playing is to be a human on the other end, right? And so it was really interesting that she said that they're not good prospects, because I asked her, I said, do you expect prospects to come on the call having done sales training and taken sales calls? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because prospects don't have sales training and prospects don't have sales experience. So what I'm saying, guys, is that brand new sales reps are the best prospects, because the people you're speaking to don't have sales experience either. And so it's a really important belief to have that you can role play with anyone. So that way you're not creating excuses for why you don't have enough role play partners, your role plays are not going well. It was just the craziest thing to me. To this day, I still role play with people, and I don't care who I role play with. It could be my brother, it could be my cousin, it could be a new sales rep, it could be a more experienced sales rep, it could be a student of mine, it could be someone who's not a student of mine, maybe someone in my free community. So it's like, it does not matter. And I know a lot of people have this belief that they can't role play with certain people. Please knock that out of your brain right now, because you are doing yourself a massive, massive disservice. I wanted to take a brief break from this amazing conversation. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. First thing I wanted to talk about is, did you know that 60% of you who listen to the podcast on YouTube are not subscribed? So first of all, thank you so much for listening and watching. And if you could hit the subscribe button, that would mean the world to me. Secondly, if you're an entrepreneur, high-ticket sales rep, or you're just getting into the high-ticket sales space, I want to encourage you to join my free school community. This is where you can get access to my sales training for free. And this is where you can also have the opportunity to ask me questions on the live coaching calls I run every week. If you want to learn how to make sales fun and close more deals so you can make life-changing income this year, the link to join for free is in the description. The fifth belief that every sales rep should have is that 10K is not a lot of money. 10K is not a lot of money. Why do I say 10K? Well, I could say anything. I could say 15K, 20K. It's not a lot of money. And this is a fact. Obviously, if someone is in a place where they're living paycheck to paycheck, 10K would make a massive difference for them, right? That part is relative. But it is actually a fact that $10,000 is not a lot of money. So I actually Googled this because I was so curious, because I wanted to put this into perspective for my students. Because if you want to make at least $100,000 a year as a sales rep, that means, based on the industry standard in the high ticket space, 10% commission, that means you would need to close $1 million in sales in a year, right? That might feel like a lot. Like, I need to close $1 million? Doll hairs, not even close $1 million. You need to collect $1 million so that your commission reflects 100K. It might feel like so much money. It's like, especially if you've never sold, right? Let's put this into perspective. Last year, this is what I Googled. I Googled how much money was in circulation just in the United States last year. Circulation, which means people exchange that money, okay? Money that was spent. 2.3 trillion with a T. Not billion, trillion. So 2.3 trillion was circulated in the US alone last year. We're not counting the UK, Canada, we're not counting the Asia, like just in the US. And you're telling me it's a lot of money to collect $1 million in a year? I hope that puts things into perspective so you can truly walk away from this and forever and ever believe that 10K is not a lot of money, because a lot of offers are around that 10K price point, right? Because you'd be surprised, so many closers, you might be one of them, feel so uncomfortable pitching 10K on the phone because you're like, that's a lot of money. Like, I kind of understand why, why they want to take some time, or why they're not comfortable, or, you have a hard time helping that person walk through the obstacles that they're putting in front of you because you think it's a lot. We need to believe it's not a lot. Another important reason why we have to believe that it's not a lot is because you want to make that every 30 days. If you believe something's a lot, how can you possibly expand your capacity to receive that? If you're like, it's a lot, why? How could you possibly, So it's really important. And I learned this from experience. Just like everything I'm talking to you about is from experience. I hit a ceiling. It was 12 to 15,000. I just kept, month after month, I was ranging between 12 and 15,000 in commissions. And I kept saying to myself, oh my gosh, I'm finally making a lot of money. I'm so happy. I'm finally making a lot of money. I was so proud of myself that I kept telling myself that in my head. That was the constant conversation. And the next goal for me was to hit 20,000 in commissions, but I couldn't hit that. I felt stuck month after month after month. And then I realized something that my mom always said to me clicked. My mother, ever since I was a child, always said, Princess, what you say with your mouth is really powerful. So be careful what you say. And I thought to myself, all right, well, I'm going to stop telling myself that 15K is a lot of money. And then exactly that next month, nothing changed. No lead flow increased. I didn't switch offers. I didn't add another offer. The next month, after hitting 15,500, I hit 21,000 in commissions. All because I stopped telling myself that I was making a lot of money. And so I expanded my capacity to make more. So this is why this is a belief that every sales rep should have. The sixth belief that every sales rep should have is that I am the expert. So what this means is with every prospect you speak to, you are like the equivalent in that conversation, in that context, you are the equivalent of a doctor, a lawyer. I'm not going to say a therapist because then that opens cans of worms, right? You are the expert on that call. You have the solution potentially to their problem, right? And you can ask the right questions. You have the right to go deep. You have the right to ask some questions that might feel too personal. You have the right to call out if something is not in alignment with who they say they want to be. You have the right to hold them accountable because you are the expert here. And that also helps you to understand and believe that you belong on this call. I review so many calls and sometimes I see closers move and behave as if they don't belong there, as if they should just be grateful to be there. You shouldn't just be grateful to be there. You are there because you belong there. You are there because someone said, you know what? Yeah, I trust you with my leads. I trust you with the front end revenue of my 6-figure a month business. Like, that's a big deal. Let's not forget that. And so to that prospect, you are there to lead. And so move accordingly. Belief number 7 that every sales rep should have is that I have unshakable faith in myself. Say it again for the people in the back. I have unshakable faith in myself. You need to believe in yourself more than anyone else believes in you. Just like an athlete. You think that if Simone Biles listened to the people who told her there's no way in heck you could be number one, that she would do it? You think if she believed them, that she would be able to rise to the top? Absolutely not. And that's the same for anything. Having unshakable belief in yourself, that's what allows you to put on blinders and just focus on the mission, focus on the purpose, focus on doing what it is that you need to do so that you can be successful, so you can hit your income goals, so you can make a difference in people's lives, so you can make a difference in your own life. If you are concerned about what other people are doing, what other people are saying, where you are in the leaderboard, what your sales manager has to say about your call, you've already lost. You've already lost this game. So something I tell all my students every single day is put on blinders and focus on you. And this is, again, something I did and learned from experience. I never cared about where I was on the leaderboard. I only found out I was number 1 on the leaderboard at the end of the month when the manager told me that. I was like, oh, nice, sweet. I never looked at it because I don't care where anyone else is at any given point. I only care about, am I closing deals? Am I helping people? Am I being honest? Am I showing up? Am I having fun? Am I connecting? Am I being real? Am I serving every person who shows up on this call? And what this does is it also allows you to treat every call like you and that prospect are the only people in the world right now. Unshakable belief in yourself means I believe I can help you. I know I can help you. So let's lock in. I'm not concerned about, oh my gosh, am I saying this properly? I'm not concerned about if I stutter. I'm not concerned about my grammar just out the window. Because it happens sometimes. English is my second language. Sometimes when I get nervous, when I get flustered, my grammar is just like, peace out, I'm clocking out. And I say things wrong. I word it weird. Sometimes the prospect's like, wait, what? Can you repeat the question? I'm like, yes. I got you right now. Unshakable belief in yourself means that you don't let anyone throw you off kilter. And so as a sales rep, this is a belief that is a non-negotiable. I'm so passionate about this. I'm sure you can hear it in my voice, how passionate I am about this belief. Because for a lot of you, that is the one thing that is absolutely missing, that if you had that, you would make $5,000 more a month. And so I will never stop shouting from the rooftops that you need to have unshakable belief in yourself. Number 8. A belief that every sales rep should have is that rejection is redirection. So again, rejection is redirection. This is so important to understand that every no that you get is protecting you in some way. Maybe it's protecting you from someone who's a bad fit who'll end up refunding later or potentially leaving a bad review. Maybe the rude prospect who jumps on and disrespects you and throws you off kilter, maybe that is a blessing because it's making you stronger. So that way the next prospect who comes on who has zero conviction in themselves, you are able to have more conviction in you so you can pour into them. We cannot be attached to outcomes in this game. So we are so much better off treating every no, every rejection as a blessing, especially when something throws us off, because this game is more mental than anything. While a lot of us come into sales really struggling with that rejection piece, I know I did, what we can do to mitigate that is see it as a blessing. Thank you. Thank you for that person who just hung up on me. Now I have more time to fill up my glass of water, hydrate, have a little dance party, and now I'll be in better shape for the next one. Belief number 9. Belief number 9 is I control my income. This is another one that is near and dear to my heart because I will shout from the rooftops till the cows come home that your results are not dependent on the leads. They're not dependent on marketing. They're not dependent on luck. They're not dependent on the ads, the quality of the ads. Your income and your results are directly related to your skill level and your willingness to hustle. What I love about those factors is that they're completely in your control. So skill level, that's obvious, right? If you know that you really struggle with having a powerful discovery, then obviously work with someone who is good at that, who can coach you and help you get to the place where you can have a more powerful discovery so you do close more deals. If you know that you struggle with handling the money objection, right? Because if you're doing your call properly, the only objection you should get at the end is just the logistics around money. If you know you struggle with that, you get uncomfortable, like work on it. Now, the other side of it is the piece that I really want to drive home, which is that your willingness to hustle. Because in this space, you are a business owner and these businesses are your clients. A lot of people stress about how one day you can just wake up and your offer has shut down, or they've decided to cut half the sales team and you are out of a job, and now you are so afraid that you are not going to be able to make money and pay your bills. So I always say have multiple clients. In this day and age, it's important to have multiple clients to keep your calendar full. The only way, truly, unless you're on a unicorn offer, the only way to make $20,000 to $30,000 a month as a closer is to have like 2, 3, maybe even 4 offers. I'll say 2 to 3. I personally, the most I ever had at once was 4, but that's because one of them I stayed on for 18 months because I just loved the offer so much, but I was only getting 10 to 15 calls a month. But I love that company. But yeah, I think 2 to 3 offers is solid to keep your calendar full. So you have enough opportunity, regardless of show rate, regardless of what marketing is doing, you have enough that you can close and make your dream income. So that's all up to you. And a lot of people are too loyal. What I have to say on loyalty is that loyalty mindset of like, oh, I want to get another offer, or you feel like you're cheating on your company. It's like, that's such a 9-to-5 corporate mindset that doesn't serve you here in this space, because business owners have zero issue just removing you in an instant if they feel like, you're not needed anymore. So you better do what you need to do for yourself so you can make the income you want to make. And that takes hustle. It also takes getting uncomfortable, which is a perfect segue into belief number 10, which is that my comfort zone is the enemy. Again, my comfort zone is the enemy. If you are comfortable, you are not growing. And I see this all the time, that people delay applying for opportunities. They delay asking for an increase in their commission. And they delay all kinds of things that would actually benefit them and their income if all they did was ask or just go for it. And I truly believe that delay is the enemy's most powerful weapon that he uses to hold us back in life. And it's all wrapped up in that belief that we actually deserve to have all the things that we want, right? So at the end of the day, the reason why most people are not financially successful, are not living their best life, is because they're so afraid to get out of their comfort zone. I think it would really benefit a lot of sales reps to tap into the part of themselves that was so passionate, so excited, so hopeful, so aspirational when they got into sales. We all believed, oh my gosh, yes, I can make 10K a month in 90 days or in 180 days. Why not? Now, let me share something with you before you close out this episode. What I just shared with you, these 10 beliefs, they are not suggestions. They are requirements. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk away from this episode and go back to your normal routine. You're going to get on calls tomorrow with the same old mindset that's been keeping you stuck, or you're going to make a decision that today is the day that you stop thinking like everyone else and start thinking like a champion. Because let me be clear about this. Believing these things will not automatically make you money, but not believing them will absolutely keep you broke. Your beliefs are the foundation that everything else is built on. Your skills, your strategies, they're all worthless if they're built on the wrong foundation. So here's what I need you to do right now before you do anything else. Pick one belief from today, the one that challenged you the most. And for the next 7 days, I want you to live that belief, not just think about it, not just agree with it, but live it. Because transformation does not happen in your head. It happens in your actions. And if you do this, if you really commit to upgrading your beliefs just one belief at a time, I promise you, your bank account will start reflecting the new you. But you have to do the work. No one else can do it for you. No one else can think for you. And no one else can transform for you. So the question is, are you ready to stop making excuses and start making life-changing income? Your future is waiting for your answer. If you got value from this, I'd love to hear your golden nuggets in the comments. And I would appreciate it so much if you subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one.